Okay, it's Sunday the 18th of May, and this is the time at the moment is 11:52 where I am in the UK. And if you go onto the BBC Sport website, you've got this article here, Haas demand Bearman qualifying review, and it says Formula One 46 minutes old, this article. So Andrew Benson's done something about this Haas demand Bearman qualifying review, and it's published 46 minutes ago. I watched some of qualifying yesterday. I was kind of doing a job, and so I was kind of just watching a bit here and there. Didn't see it all. When it got red flagged, I went off and continued on my job. So I wasn't listening to what Sky Sports was saying about the situation. A lot of that is bullshit anyway. I recorded a few aspects of the things that I saw, ready to try and do a video, which I did do. And so this video here, which is 59 minutes 24 seconds long, and you can see the date stamp at the bottom there, which is 05/17, yesterday's date. Okay, and unfortunately, if I come back out of there, if I go onto YouTube, I did try and upload it. This is the video, but it's showing us 46 minutes 53 on here. What happened is when I uploaded it, it got blocked on copyright because I was using F1 content. Sometimes it goes through the filters, sometimes it doesn't. Somebody has commented ways of me getting around it. I've just not had a chance to try it yet. I'm not particularly familiar with computing and how to operate technology in a proficient manner, and therefore it would take me time to do it, and I haven't had the time to upskill myself. So what happened is you upload a video, it gets blocked, and when you go through, then it gives you the option of YouTube using its automatic trimming tool to trim out the bits that have been detected that breach the copyright checks, and then YouTube will trim them sections out. And then sometimes you can do that and it will trim out the bits that it doesn't want you to show, that either block the video or demonetize the video. Sometimes it's not the demonetization bits that I'm not bothered about. If I need to show you something, whether the video earns money or not, it's irrelevant. Okay, it needs to be seen. But some things just completely block it so that nobody can even see the video. Anyway, you apply this trimming tool on YouTube. YouTube goes through your video, cuts out the bits which are causing the copyright infringement, and then you have the video, and it results in it being a shorter video. When you play that video through, sometimes it still makes enough sense for it to be not a problem. You can publish the video and people can still follow the video. I had to go through that process about 4 times last night, and each time it said, oh, you need to trim out this, and this. So I goes, all right, trim. And it trimmed it, and then it still did the checks again. Oh, you now need to trim out this. So trimmed it. It came down to a 46-minute video, and it just doesn't make sense. Okay, it's trimmed out that much of what I was seeking to say. It doesn't make sense. Hence, I've not published it. All right. So that's where we are with it. What I was going through with that video, and there's no point in me trying to reproduce it now. Qualifying was yesterday. The race is in 2 hours' time now. Nobody's going to watch the video that I produce about yesterday's qualifying. All right, it's just the way it is. Everybody's moved on already. Everyone's excited for the race. And once the race happens, nobody's going to go back for a review of qualifying. So, waste of time putting the energy into it. However, I just thought that I would show you what's going on. That video contained analysis of the crashes of Tsunoda and of Colapinto, showing that in Colapinto's case, all it took was a wheel on the grass for him to spin off and smash into those tyre barriers. Although the track is different now, that was about the same sort of place that Senna died, was it not? And all it takes is putting a wheel on the grass, losing grip, hitting the accelerator at the wrong time, okay, spinning those back wheels up when one of them has got limited traction compared to the other, and that completely putting the car into a spin. And that's all it takes. And we're living in an F1 era where drivers are forcing each other off the track. There's a fucking problem with that. we can see Tsunoda's incident. Okay, and all that took was Tsunoda riding a curb. When that car then came off the curb, it seemed like the base of the car, the bottom of the car, hitting the ground at the time where he was trying to put some sort of steering angle in, meant that that car didn't steer how he was intending, and it put the car into a spin, resulting in a huge crash. That car went, most of you will have seen it. The car's gone upside down, is complete write-off. Were it not for the halo, Tsunoda could have been dead. Okay, now, I did say in that video, the FIA need to be congratulated on the grounds that over the course of time, they've made improvements to both car design for the safety of the driver, to the circuits in terms of the circuit layout, where there was dangerous sections of the circuit, they've made changes to it, to improvements in crash barrier safety to absorb the impacts, even things such as runoff areas. When a car travels over grass or over gravel, you don't have that much control over it. Okay, you are a passenger effectively when that car starts going over grass or over gravel, because when you've not got grip, then you're a passenger. You're going to end up where that car takes you and where that momentum takes you. When you've got a runoff area, which is a surface that then tyres can grip on, you have at least some control over your car possibly, or you have the ability to retard the speed of that car. Okay, dissipating the energy of where you're going to ultimately end up. And what we have the Sky Sports commentators frequently suggest is when a car, and we know who I'm talking about, when a car runs another car off the track, oh, they should put gravel there, then this wouldn't happen. That doesn't prevent it from happening. What prevents it from happening, or what should prevent it from happening, is a proper consequence for the perpetrator. If you say, if you do that, then you are going to be disqualified or get a race ban, that might deter the perpetrator from doing that. It shouldn't be a case of, oh, well, what we're going to do, we're going to take away something that actually results in something being safer, because that's going to stop them doing it, isn't it? No, that's not the way to do it. Okay, all you do is you punish the perpetrator. Identify exactly what's going on here. Somebody's driving in a manner where they refuse to leave their opponent track room. They try to bully them. Unless they yield, they get left no track room, or there's a crash. That's not okay. Oh, but he's the expert of the rules. You know, what do we do about this? I'll tell you what we should do. What we should do, everybody, is they should have gravel there. Then it wouldn't happen. See, it's all lies. Okay, these Sky Sports F1 presenters are doing the Max Verstappen fluffing narrative, okay, not identifying what the actual problem is and who is at fault for the problem, and coming up with a suggestion that conditions people's minds, because the number of times I've seen that in comment sections of Formula One. Oh, they should have gravel traps there. They should have gravel traps there. No, dickhead. There's a tarmac runoff area there for a reason. It's far safer. It is far safer to have a tarmac runoff area where those cars can remain with some degree of grip, to give those drivers some degree of control. And they're suggesting we should get rid of that. Instead, put those cars onto an area where they don't have control and the drivers are just a passenger until that car slams into tyres or a barrier. It's disgusting. So, I went through them 2 crashes and explained a bit like that. I talked about the deception, not deception, the manner in which the narrative plays out of how they manipulate our experience of Formula One, just like the last video. I was just going through that section again. So, they had the ability to show us whether or not McLaren was changing onto a different compounder tyre for that final run of qualifying. They had the cameras physically there. Now, they then cut away. They didn't show you. We're not going to show you for another 3 or 4 minutes. We're going to keep you guessing. We're going to keep you anticipating what's going on. And what that does, that manipulates your experience of watching Formula One, and equate that to life. There are lots of things that are going on in this world, lots of things that they know are going on, and what they do, they choose what they want to show us. What that does, that gives us our perception of what is going on based on what it is they show us, or what it is they tell us is going on. Equate that to our lives. As soon as you start opening your eyes to that, to the fact that there's lots and lots of things going on, like at a Formula One race. At a Formula One race, there are hundreds of things all going on. You don't get to see any of them. You only get to see what they choose to show you. There is somebody in a editing office with all them bits of information available as to what it is they can reveal to us, the viewer. And they are in charge of what we see and what our understanding then becomes based on what they have told us and when they show us it. That is what is going on in our lives with everything. We are fed the information that they want us to believe. Understand that. Okay? So there's that aspect of it. This is why Formula One is such a good example for life for people. A lot of people will dismiss it because a lot of people just aren't interested in it. I can fully understand why people will not be interested in Formula One, because it's a bullshit show. I get that. But it's an example that really just translates to life so much. Okay, the hype, the drama, the bullshit that surrounds it is like so much else in life, and how it's manipulated and who benefits, and how the dynamic of the greater financial interest influencing the government of the sport, okay, to make decisions which aren't for sport, aren't for sporting fairness, aren't for what's right, which is what governments of countries should be doing, what's right and what's right by the people of the country. No. They're made to benefit those that own the show, those that are financially benefiting, those that ultimately have the financial interests that then bribe the government, and the government gets a kickback out of it, or members of government become extremely wealthy out of it because they've come up with policies to enable those that are already billionaires to make more billions, rather than actually abide by rules and laws that are designed for the protection of everybody. Again, this is why Formula One translates to our lives so well, and it could be something that hopefully others will use to wake people up in that manner. Other things that I was talking about, compounds of tyres. So apparently at this event, Pirelli have introduced a new compound of tyre, compound 6 now. Now, over the course of the year, there was supposed to be 5 compounds. And at any race, 3 of them are selected. So it could be compounds 1, 2 and 3, become hard, medium and soft. Another race, it might be compounds 3, 4 and 5 used. So compound 3 would be the hard compound of tyre, 4 and 5 would be the softest of compound of tyre. So I'll do another video about this to explain how tyre manipulation could be possible to skew results of races. Anyway, this race they've introduced tyre compound 6, something that they've decided that they're going to introduce because it wears out quicker, and they want therefore to try and make it that teams don't just do a one-stopper around Monaco, for example. All right, if you use tyre compound 6, you can't just use that and one other compound to get you to the end of the race. Your tyres aren't going to last that long, so therefore it introduces the notion of you having to do a 2-stopper to introduce more drama, okay? Because when there's a pit stops, more shit can go wrong, there's more moving parts, we might get more drama. And that's essentially all it's about. So what have we done? we as Formula One, you know, this formula, this show, this global road show that travels around the world, needs to be carbon neutral. It needs to be sustainable. Everybody, you know, this is the planet that's heating up, and we've all got to pay the price for it. We've all got to pay the price for it. We've all got to be taxed money to pay the price for what's being done to it. And so what they're doing, Formula One, is making shit. Okay, and in making tyres, yeah, that produces a lot of pollutants and carbon. Yeah, they're making something that they designed to have a tiny lifespan. So you have to keep making more of it. Oh, yes, it's because we're seeking to become more sustainable. So we're making stuff designed to fail very quickly. Now, this is only a tiny example, and you can have the opinion that, okay, it's a sport, it's a show, it's only a small scale operation in that regard. Fine, but what you need to understand is that dynamic extrapolates to life. Most things that now we buy, they are designed to fail. They're designed to only last, what, 3 to 5 years ideally. And why is that? They don't want to create something that lasts 20 years, because once they've sold that to you, you're not going to buy another one for 20 years. They want you to buy another one off them in 2 years' time, in 3 years' time. They want you to have the latest one. It's not in their interests to have you buy it once and then not buy it again from them for 20 years. They want you buying it time and time and time. Sustainability, everybody. See, the word sustainability, it's not about sustaining the planet. It's about sustaining their business model of more and more and more. Nothing to do with the notion of, oh, to do that, you've got to do all of the mining for all of the ores. You've got to do all the production process, using all the energy, producing all the pollutant gases. Okay, then you've got to dispose of all the old shit that's now broken. Yeah, we can just dump it in the Pacific Ocean. Not a problem. Move on already. Yeah, we'll all pay the tax for that. It's all of our fault for that. It's all of us. We've all got to pay the price for our carbon footprint, everybody. Sustainability. Sustainability. So I talked about that. What else? I didn't actually mention Hamilton's qualifying position. Okay. Now, that was something, having looked at the video, I thought, oh, I've missed that bit out. Disappointing for anybody that's a Hamilton or Ferrari fan. Similar for Leclerc. What's going on? I don't know. I don't know what's going on within that Ferrari team, within those drivers, and whether the drivers are making mistakes. Ultimately, though, strategically, I think they are missing a trick. And as I've said before, they give themselves 2 opportunities at runs. Okay, not good enough. And if you get it wrong both times, then that's you knackered. How about when you go out to do your qualifying run, you leave yourself some contingency space. So you go out with the intention of doing 1 qualifying lap, but if you make a mistake on that qualifying lap, you kind of abort that attempt, and so that then you wind it up again for when you cross the start finish line at the end of that lap, and try again. And if you've got enough fuel in your car, then you still should have the opportunity to set a fast qualifying time the following lap on from your aborted attempt. But they don't do that. It's shit or bust. 1 lap and nothing. Why? And when you've had the same dynamic happen time and time and time and time again, and it's resulted in failure and failure and failure and failure and failure, why not try something different? Prove me wrong. If it turns out that if you have to abort your attempted lap, then the following lap you just get nowhere near your optimum time, I can't understand why there'd be such a drop-off in performance. Because surely, how long does it take to recharge that battery pack? If you've not done a full lap at full qualifying speed, then surely you've not utilised all that built-up battery energy. and you've got the remainder of that aborted lap, providing you realise, let's say you make a mistake in sector 2 of a lap. Shit, that's knackered this lap up, as Hamilton did in his qualifying attempt. His sector 2 was 0.6 seconds down or something like that. Okay, you've recognised something's been, and again, I've not gone through the review of his lap. You've recognised that there's a problem. This isn't going to be a quick lap. Abort that one. Get the battery being recharged, and okay, at the end of this lap, we go again. But that didn't happen. Why not? Surely that's what you should be doing. At least give it a go. And if it proves that actually you can't, then that would seem strange to me. It would seem strange that you're in a machine and you can only extract optimum performance out of that machine for just one lap, and then it won't do that the following lap. I mean, because in a Grand Prix, what we get is they get faster and faster and faster as the fuel load decreases. But surely having just an extra lap's worth of fuel in the car is not going to inhibit your first attempt by that much, is it? Couple of thousandths? Well, we're several tenths off the pace at the moment. I'd sacrifice a couple of thousandths if it can result in you getting another attempt at a lap where you can actually improve by half a second. Anyway, just to go back and go into this video before I end this one, I'm going to try and get to the point where I was going to show you the Bearman incident. So what I'll do, I'll go along this and you'll just get to see what my video... There's the Sonoda crash, bits of the Sonoda crash that I was talking through. Onboards from Sonoda, that was him rolling over. That was more replays of that. That's Sonoda's car rolling over. This was what I went through in slow-mo on my video. Binotto, spoke about him and Jonathan Wheatley. And it was around this section, I'm sure it was. What's going on now? That was Colapinto. Okay, so it's around here then, red flag. So it's this bit here. If I slow this video down, I'll show you. Speed down to that, and we'll have a play. Now what you need to know is we've got a yellow flag because Colapinto has crashed, and this is right at the end of Q1. So the clock of Q1 has counted down to 0, which means if you haven't began your qualifying lap, you can no longer do so. But those who are on their qualifying lap, on their fast lap, they can continue driving round and their lap time will count. Okay, now if they are behind this point where Colapinto has crashed and the yellow flags are flying there, they have to ease off, so that's ruined their attempt at a fast lap anyway. If they've already passed the incident of Colapinto's lap, then they're not affected by that yellow flag and they can carry on trying to set that fast time. So that's where we're at the moment. There's drivers that are close to the end of their hot lap, and those times should count. Now what we'll see here, if I just go back a little bit, Stroll has just set a time and you can see the checkered flag, and that's shifted Stroll up to 4th. Okay, so if I play this here, now let me just take the sound off. So are we playing? Yeah, we're playing, I think. Are we playing? What you're going to see on this list down the left hand side is you are going to see when drivers finish their lap what their time is. So Russell, checkered flag has just appeared by Russell. What's happening now? Bearman 10. Look, yellow flag. Bearman's just moved up to 10. Checkered flag. And now look at here, yellow flag. Bearman 10. Yellow flag still showing. I've probably stopped it on my video, and that's probably why the difference is. But Bearman jumps up to 10th, okay, checkered flag, and what happens is, and this was on the feed, red flag. So that would say that Bearman set that time before the red flag was shown. And the FIA, when it then gets to Q2, they've said, oh, Bearman's time didn't count. But it would appear that Bearman has set that time before the FIA have actually stopped the session. That should be a counted valid lap if that's the case. I did go on to say that we don't know how accurate what the graphics on the screen are and how closely they correlate to the real time of FIA race control actually giving their instruction. You would hope that the system was such that it was real time, that the information that was being presented to us was exactly reflective of the time scale of the decision making made by FIA, because that clearly showed you Bearman being registered as having had his lap completed, checkered flag next to Bearman, that lap time boosting him to 10th, and then after that had taken place, the red flag shown. That means that that lap should count. So the fact that then effectively Bortoleto, who is now in 16th position on that list, he should have been out then in Q1. Jonathan Wheatley, you know, the master manipulator himself, he sent Bortoleto out for the start of Q2 and was the first in the queue. And Haas didn't put Bearman out. But now, according to Andrew Benson's article, it's on this one, Haas demand Bearman qualifying review. Like I say, I don't know what was being said at the time, but just to show you that that's something that I picked up on as something that was wrong. They might have been talking about that all that time that I was disappeared off, not watching Sky. But that's a clear example of the timescale. So it makes you wonder what this shit show's all about. If the FIA, the governing body, can't even get the basics right, they're not fit for purpose. You know, we're living in a world where why are we tolerating incompetence? There's something that's very, very clear to see. How do you make an error with that? If what we've just seen is accurate, and clearly Bearman's time was set and registered before the red flag was displayed as being thrown, and if that is the accurate timescale of the sequence of those events, and again, we're reliant upon what they show us. We're reliant upon the potential for them to manipulate that depending on what they want us to see. But if that actually happened in that order, how can they get it wrong? How many incompetent people have allowed that to be wrong? Where's the checks and measures? Why is there not somebody there? Well, that's clearly what's just happened. That one's valid or not. Oh, but we don't. Do we know the rules? Nobody knows the rules. Nobody knows what we should be doing here. Well, that's something that's not fit for purpose. Anyway, there might have been other things that I talked about. It's almost an hour-long video. This is getting that way. So I'm going to end it here. Enjoy the Grand Prix. I'm sure there'll be lots to talk about after that. And I probably won't get the time to talk about it. But who knows? Anyway, thank you for your time. And the most important thing to take from this video is that idea of lots of things are taking place in this world. We get to find out about what that man with all the screens in front of him wants to show us, and how he wants us to believe things are, how they want to manipulate our experience of the world, how they want to make us feel about a certain situation. Apply that to life. Thank you for your time.